All
Excellent.
right. Shall we kick it off?
Oh, I suppose so. Let's do it.
Yeah.
Anybody else who wants to put their camera on is more than welcome. You don't have to, of course, but it doesn't matter how messy your background is or what you're eating. I am snacking. Hey, Core. I was on a call with somebody this morning. And they're like, I don't want to put my camera on because I'm eating and you don't need to see that. And I was like, oh, but I do need to see that. I want to know what you're eating, what you're drinking. Like, let me live vicariously with you. Hi, everybody.
Hey there, guys. Yeah, I was just watching some TikToks this morning, and one of the guys was saying how some of the post videos that did the best on TikTok were people um, sharing their morning routine, their breakfast, their like things of that nature. I sent it to you, right, Beth?
hmm
hmm Yeah, it's fascinating. People like to hear that stuff.
We're all a
And
little
like
bit
the
voyeuristic at heart, I think. It's like, what are you
yeah,
doing? What does your
right.
house look like? Like,
And I also think it helps personalize people and bring them down to
mhm.
to level, right? Like we're all just humans. I
Yeah.
remember I remember that like growing up in Denmark, it always felt like, you know, America was so far away and American culture was so pervasive
hmm
in Denmark, and it just seemed so far away. And then when I got here to the US and I realized, oh, like these are just normal people that you can actually like meet or hang out with. Like a friend of mine had his parents were friends with Bryan Cranston. So Bryan Cranston from Breaking Bad would be the one that would take him to the ball game every other weekend and things of that nature. Like it's like all these celebrities that you see on TV are just people like you and I.
hmm
Um, yeah, it's a good, and I think the breakfast thing is a reminder of that. What's up, everybody? Welcome here. Welcome to. It's really great to see you all. So excited for this. So I'm super pumped about this show. This is the beginning of something that's going to grow bigger and bigger and bigger. And you guys are here for the very beginning. It's really beautiful. It's awesome. You're going to be able to go back in history and be like, yeah, we were on episode number 2 of the show because we have great plans for this, and there's something like really amazing about everything that's happened. Where, like, I've been struggling for a long time, trying to figure out like what's my niche, like what is the value that I provide, like what am I really about, and it's like things have clicked now around this by expanding it to be about entrepreneurship more in general and focusing on that inner journey of entrepreneurship. That's my sweet spot. That's what I love to do. I've never ever held like a real job pretty much anywhere. It's not entirely true. There was like a period of about 18 months where I worked for a software startup here in the US, but I lived in New York. The company was in Boston. I was never in an office. And it wasn't like a real company in that way. It was a very, very startup place. So it feels like I've never really had a real job, and I wouldn't know one if it hit me in the face. So yeah, I'm wondering if I should take my sunglasses off here, even though it's a little bright.
Yes.
So welcome to what we're going to do here is we're going to just talk about some things that are top of mind right now. Beth and I were going over some thoughts this morning, and and then we're going to open it up for Q&A with you guys. Remember that everything we do here is live streamed. Actually, it's not, but it should be. Uh,
But it will be soon. Give him a
we're
second.
not at peace. We need these processes written all down. Uh,
I'm making notes. Yes, exactly.
yes, please. Thank you. Um, so
Push the live button. We did this the other day too. He and I did a live, and we're like 15 minutes into it, and we're like, "Oh, we didn't push the button."
right, exactly. Yeah. Gotta have checklists. Checklists are really important, really helpful. So
Yes.
anyway, so we're gonna talk about some things that are top of mind. Checklists are really important.
Oh,
Oh wait, now
so
I'm
anyway,
getting myself here on Facebook. There we go. Stop it.
yeah. There you go.
So we're gonna do that. I'm gonna say it the third time. talk about a couple things up front, and then we're going to open it for Q&A. Remember that everything here is live streamed and public, so don't share things that you're not comfortable, being in public with. Right? It is live streamed for the world to see, stored for eternity, and we're going to take content from this and make into clips that are going to be shared on social media. So the clips are going to focus more on me than on you, but you might be involved. If you are, I think we're going to run it by you before we post it. But yes, just keep in mind that everything here is public. So with that,
we wanted to mention, yes, go for it.
No, what you said, you look like you're about to say something.
Oh, I was just going to say that, like, part of that, why that is true, is because part of this entrepreneurial journey is getting comfortable being visible for ourselves and in all of our like warts and weirdnesses, right? And like having that be part of what attracts our ideal people to us and repels the other ones. So do you want to say more about that, Calvin?
Yeah, I think so. I think we're typically afraid of being vulnerable, of showing who we really are in public, or we can show it. We can be vulnerable in like a closed group, but then if it comes out more broadly, we're uncomfortable with it. And I totally empathize with that. I totally get that. But I think I read this thing a while ago about what if we could all read each other's minds? Right? What if thoughts weren't private, but everybody could hear or see or perceive everything that you think? And like the first thought is like, oh my God, that would be terrible. But then you realize, no, because like I can see and hear what everybody else thinks, and we would all just realize that we have the same dumb shit going on in our heads all the time, all of us, right? Like all that negative self-talk and that criticism and all that stuff that we have going on, everybody else has it too. And everybody's so busy with their own critical self-talk that they don't even really have, that much energy to think about like who you are or criticize. Like they might criticize you, but any criticism that they share is only really about them, right? It's their own criticism of themselves that they're just projecting onto you. And they're so busy just in their own heads that they don't really give a crap at the end of the day. And I met this guy who's actually imprisoned, convicted felon for something that he didn't do. And he was like super afraid that people were going to find out about it. And I was like, dude, this is the most incredible, like I'm almost envious of you that I didn't go through that, because it's just an amazing story. And if you had the balls to tell it to the world and just be completely open about it, I have no question that it would just magnetize so many people to him. Would there be a few people who would say, oh, I don't want to have anything to do with this person because like this is weird and he's a felon and whatnot? Sure. But then that, and those people can elect out of it, right? And everybody else can just be attracted who want to be there. So yeah, vulnerability, great thing. Hold on. Was that what you had in mind, Beth?
Yeah, that is what I was thinking and having in mind. And, as part of that, the other piece is that we are also going to start doing like some little like prize giveaway thing every week. And we've decided that we're going to be giving away Calvin's audiobook and ebook called Show Up and Serve, a Maverick's Guide.
Close the door here. I'll be right back.
Okay, sure. Maverick's Guide to Launching Your Course. Which is really, it's a little bit about launching your course, but it's a lot about mindset and getting over your own stuff in order to be visible in the world. So we're going to start doing that. And we thought we would do that based on like who is bringing something like vulnerably and honestly to the table that they're willing to, of course, have shared, because this is live streaming. But so whatever you're comfortable with, but to try to encourage folks to come to these conversations with actual questions for Calvin and actual struggles that you're working on that we can talk about. Yeah. And Kimberly won last week. She was here and had some great participation. So yay.
That's amazing. That's so wild.
It's super fun. I've been listening to it in the background, Kimberly, as I've been working this week. It's been a while. I read it like, I don't know when it first came out, but I haven't. So I put it on in the background and I've been listening, and it's been very good.
So
sort of feel like Calvin's following me around, talking to me whenever I'm doing anything. Because he reads it himself. The audiobook version is Calvin.
Oh,
So
that's what you're saying. Yeah, I
yeah.
was talking about Kimberly's music being amazing.
Oh,
Yeah,
well, that was amazing. Yes.
yeah, yeah. Cool. Yeah. So another topic that I wanted to talk about was like about, so one of the things that I'm thinking about in my business right now is, what's the bottleneck? Where is the bottleneck in the business, right? Like, there's always one kind of element to the business that is the biggest constraint on your business. And there's really, as a business owner, you really only have one job, and that's to alleviate whatever that bottleneck is, right? Because, if you're only can take so many sales calls, or only can do like whatever is the thing that is in short supply, or that is limiting the throughput of your business, that's the thing that you need to address. And so whenever I look at that, I look at two things. I look at what are some immediate things that I can do right now that's going to have an effect, and I also look at the long term. What is the strategic things that I need to put in place so that this bottleneck goes away sort of for good? And I'll give you an example. So one of the bottlenecks for me right now, or kind of the bottleneck, is engineering resources of a specific quality, specific level, skill set, and talent of engineers that I really need to have more of. And so immediately there's some things that I can do to just bring in some more people, like, post a job ad and get better vetting processes for them, et cetera, and onboarding processes and that kind of stuff. But there's also, what are the long-term strategic things that I can do? For example, like this show, putting out more content, doing more to build our brand so that the right kind of candidate will want to work at the company and kind of self-select. And what we want are candidates who are not team members who are missionaries, not mercenaries, right? People who are really bought into the mission and the vision of the company and want to be part of that journey, want to be part of that, not just like show up to do a job. Those people are great too, but what really moves the needle are the missionaries. So those are going to be attracted to the kind of stuff that we do here and be like, this is the company, this is the mission that I want to get behind. And we want to build a brand so that we are attracting the talent to come to us. But that's a longer term strategic thing that isn't going to eliminate the bottleneck right now. So I also need to do some things right now to eliminate that. That's a question for you: is what's the bottleneck in your business, and what are you what can you do short term, long term to address that bottleneck?
So you want to just throw that question out to the group and see who has responses? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, actually, let's do that. Like, type in the chat just what is your biggest bottleneck right now. Just type that in the chat. We can see.
That's a great question.
Yeah. And it might take a little bit of thinking to figure that out, but you just to say something quick, what you think it is right now. I don't have time. And so, Kara, when you're saying your own time, like what are the specific activities that you're doing that you can't delegate? Yeah.
You can unmute yourself and talk out loud too. You don't have to just type in the chat.
Yeah. Well, I was just gonna say, let's keep it in the chat now. We'll open for Q&A later.
Never mind. Sorry.
Yeah. Cool. All good. I know, Beth, we had a couple other things that we wanted to touch on. One is like this whole dichotomy of patience and speed. Like, as a company, we've been using something called EOS, the Entrepreneurial Operating System, or Entrepreneur's Operating System. I'm not sure. It's like a 90-day to 360-day cycle. You do quarterly planning, annual planning, quarterly review actually, and vision and all that kind of stuff to figure out what are we going to do this quarter. There's some rocks for each quarter, they call them, and it's a good system. But one of the things that I find is that when it comes into creative, innovative work, like what we're doing with the product now, what we're doing with the show, et cetera, you can only predict so much, right? You only have so much visibility. We've never done the things that we're doing now before. We don't know how it's going to play out when we like really get into it. With product, I never know what's gonna pop up when I really dive in under the hood of a thing that I want to build, or some part of the product that I need to improve on, and then I realize, oh my god, I didn't know this, that, and the other thing, and that I hadn't thought through. So you can't know like how far you're going to be able to get, how long it's going to take, and so is that like what I'm thinking about is how to set some goals, but you have to kind of be flexible around it. Like I really want to reach a specific measurable milestone by a specific date, but then I also have to recognize that I'm basing that off of very imperfect information right now. I don't know what I'm going to find, and so as we go about it, what's really important is not really the goal. The goal is just like a target that we're moving towards. But what's important is that every single day I do the right thing, that I invest my time wisely into the creative, the innovation, the creative problem solving, the stuff that's going to go into getting me there, if that makes sense. And so it's like, I love moving super fast and having the speed of let's go, but we got to avoid that stress of like an arbitrary deadline, just because some pope like thousands of years ago decided that we're going to have this calendar and this is going to be like the months and then dates and all of that stuff, and then we let that run like everything in our lives. I don't think that's, we don't want to get stressed out around it so that we become ineffective, or so that we gloss over things that we really should spend more time on right now. It's much better to do it right and carefully up front, and then it's going to take twice as long as you thought it was going to take, but that's how it is. Does that resonate? And while I wait for your chat thingies, I'm going to have to put on some more AC. I don't know why all of a sudden got super hot, if it's because we're live or what's going on, but oh my god. All right. Someone saw a piano. Yeah. There's a piano. I can't turn the thing. Turn the thing. All right. There is a piano.
Yes.
Oh, shit. Yes.
This is such great stuff, you guys, in the chat. Thank you.
Yeah. Cool. Was there anything else, Beth, that you want to jump into to Q&A?
I think we should jump into Q&A.
All right. So yeah, throw your questions in there, or raise your hand if you have a question.
And there's some good stuff that's been coming through, like even way back at the beginning, there was a question: how can you appear vulnerable and competent at the same time, especially before you have proved yourself as an entrepreneur? Mm-hmm. Can you be vulnerable and competent at the same time?
Yeah, I think it's about being honest about where you're at in your journey, right? Like if you're, I think the worst mistake that people do is the whole fake it till you make it idea, where you're pretending that you're something that you're not. And I've been guilty of that, in the sense of feeling unworthy, feeling wrong, feeling insecure, feeling not good enough. I've been very, very, very good at feeling not good enough. And that has made me want to be somewhere I'm not, which then makes me it's a very ineffective place to be, right? Because you're trying to pitch something that's not real, instead of pitching the thing that is real. And if you did that, if you just showed up as who you are, there are going to be people who resonate with that and who want that. But if you're presenting something that you're not, then people can smell that, and then like nobody's going to want that, right? So I think it is just the more honest you are with who you are and where you're at and what you've mastered and what you haven't, then you can meet people there. And people are like, people relate much more with someone who's just a couple steps ahead of them than someone who's, you know, much like way further, right? They can't really relate to that. It's too much. It's the gap is too wide for people. Yeah.
Yeah.
God, it's sweating here. New York's hot. AC on. What else we got?
Does anybody want to like raise your hand or come off mute and share any thoughts or questions? There was somebody earlier who I think is gone. Candace? Yeah, go.
Go for it,
Hi.
Candace. I wanna hear you.
I think my when I put in where's the where's the bottleneck, I put in just indecision. I'm so wanting to bring so many things into what I offer that I end up not doing anything. And
Yes.
that's just, I just need to get it out there. I mean, really, I don't have anything online, and I've been trying to do this honestly for years. And I just don't do it. And I know how to, I just don't, because I want it to be perfect. And
Right.
yeah, so
Who do you want to be perfect for?
myself.
Right.
Yeah,
Kind of
I was raised military, so it's like perfection.
Right. And who do you want to serve?
I want to serve people who really need help. I mean, my target market is relapse prevention. I'm not qualified. I don't have licenses or anything for recovery, but I am certified for being a peer coach so that I can help people not go down the road and do their thing again. And I want to incorporate nutrition and, pardon me?
Some addiction that people have been doing, and then now they've gotten better and you want to help them not get worse again?
Yeah, they've already been through a program. So
Candace, when you're focusing on your perfectionism, how's that helping those people?
not at all, because just hearing you say that is, I found that a lot of people that I do work with, it is their inability to be perfect that makes them feel less than perfect, and that's why they kind of go back to using. And I'm trying to make sense of that.
So by you leading by example, by being vulnerable, right? By just putting stuff out there that's not perfect. Like, I mean, who gives a crap, right? Like, if you say something that makes someone not relapse, if you say something that makes people see their addiction in a new light so that they don't, like, whatever, or recognize that they're being way too hard on themselves and that's why they're turning to this addiction. And if you say something that changes their lives, they don't give a crap. Like, it's really self-absorbed of you to, and I'm saying that in the most loving, empathetic way, because we all do this, we all have this, right? But it's very self-absorbed of us to be focused so much on like looking good and all that stuff, instead of focusing on them and on helping other people.
Yeah, makes a lot of sense, and it sounds really good coming from you. I'm used to being told, oh, it's got to be right all the time, and it's really resonating with me what you're talking about today, because there's the vulnerability. I'm here to help, and when you were saying just being a little bit ahead of them, you don't have to be, the big person in the room with thousands of people. It's just, be with them. And that really made sense. And I really appreciate you saying that. Thank you.
You're welcome. My pleasure. And it's, I mean, you don't even have to be ahead of them, right? Like, it's all the fundamental basic stuff that we all need to hear over and over and over again. It's very simple. It's very basic. And so you just being that person that reminds them of that, like, forget even the ahead of, behind, whatever, right? We're all
Yeah.
just people. It's all the same shit. You showing up for them in that context, in that frame, makes all the difference.
Yeah. And thank you, because I was taking some classes, and the person who was leading the class was saying, you only really have to be 1 week. If you're setting up a class or a whatever, it's like, you don't have to have like the whole class before you start it. And that's where I get stuck. That's where the bottleneck is. Like, oh no, I need the whole class.
And you don't really need anything. So here's my favorite way of creating content for courses and anything like that, right? You just tell them what you want to help them with, right? What is the outcome that you envision for them? We've started using a framework that my coach Larry Yates developed called the desired end state. We can talk a little bit about that, but you just paint the picture of what you want their life to look like when you're done, and you have some idea that you can actually help them get there, right? That's all you got. You sell that. Once they're in, you ask them, what are your biggest problems? What are your biggest obstacles? What are your questions? And then you just go answer those, right? That's module 1, live Zoom call with all the people who bought it. You just show up there, answer their questions, and like, maybe some stuff that you thought of in advance, and then you like do Q&A, and you stay on there for like 8 hours or however long people have, and as long as they have questions, you stay on there, answer the questions, you record that. That's module 1, done, right? Next week, what questions do you now have? Maybe there's this different topic for the second week, and you have some content about that, and what questions you have. And you just keep going like that until you feel like you've done, delivered on the promise and more. And then anyone who was unhappy, you just offer them a refund, and you're like, hey, like, totally good to do that. And that's your course. Like, you really don't need to do anything in advance. You've done your homework because you've already learned everything that you've learned. Like, that's enough.
Yeah. That makes perfect sense. I've had so many people say, you need to write a book about your life, and it's like, I'd rather have a course. So that makes sense, that I can relate to the people, and it really makes a lot of sense to just develop as you go. And makes a lot of sense.
Work backwards from the outcome that you want, right? What is it? What do you want to what do you want the result to be for them? Like, who do you want to serve? How many people do you want on there, whatever that is? And then then you work backwards from that, and that's all you got to do.
Great. Very inspiring.
Right, because when you work backwards, like if you work forwards, it's like, oh, I gotta have a website and social media and a book and this and that, the other. Like, you can think of all these things that you need, but if you work backwards from the exact result that you want, and then you ask yourself, what is absolutely required to get there, right? Is a book on that list? Probably not. There are other ways to get there that are easier and faster, right? So you eliminate all of that stuff, and you just focus on the core things that you absolutely need to have on there.
Awesome. Awesome.
And then you can add all the bells and whistles after.
Just get it out there.
That is super motivating. Something Tina said in the chat about like, what is the world missing if you don't move forward, right? Like, while we're sitting around trying to like move pixels around on a screen, like, people need what you have. And so just like get out that imperfect thing first and say, this is imperfect, I'm working on it. Like, we're doing this together. People love that. And they're getting helped by whatever you're offering then.
I was gonna say before, and I stopped myself but I'm gonna say it anyway.
I know where you're going.
Right. Like, think of all the people who are deep in the throes of addiction, or maybe even ended up dead because you're too perfectionist to put your stuff out there, right? And again, I'm saying that in the most loving way. But just like to put things into perspective, right? Like, it's like, these are people that need help that didn't get it.
Yeah. Oh boy.
Not to throw guilt at you. That was not.
No,
No, I mean, like, I
no,
really take in, it was very loving, but it's also, wow, I didn't put it into that perspective.
yeah,
It was, yeah, so it was very good. And was
yeah.
it Tina that said that in the chat?
Tina.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's not about guilt. I want to be very clear. I don't think guilt is a
Oh
healthy,
no, I didn't get the
helpful
whole guilt thing. It was
in
just
this,
like, boom.
in this context. No, good, good.
Yeah.
Mhm.
All right, thank you so much, Candice.
Thank you.
Phenomenal. Go do your work.
Yeah.
I'm excited to see it.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Who else we got? There is at the bottom of your screen. Hey, Kimberly. All right, let's get you on. At the bottom of the screen, there's a button that says reactions, and in there is the opportunity to raise your hand virtually, and that's the best way to signal that you have a question you want to ask. Kimberly, what you got?
Okay, so I don't know why I just got really nervous, which is weird because I wasn't nervous last week playing the piano for you guys, but okay, so I sort of have a similar thing as Candice going on. I have a failure to launch because I am terrified of commitment, like so afraid that I'm going to offer this thing and then I'm like trapped in it for life. I can never go on a vacation. So it's like I'm trying to come up with the perfect business model that like serves everyone perfectly, yet I have freedom. And every time I do the equation, it's like something isn't like, it's like a no-win equation. It's just like doesn't add up. It feels like anyway to me, because I feel like if I'm really serving people the way that, you know, they need help with, I feel like, well, I've got to be there with them one-on-one, and you know, there's got to be all this stuff I give them. But then I have no freedom. So then I keep going. It's like a teeter-totter.
Kimberly,
Is that even a
yeah,
word?
I totally get what you're talking about. So remember this, right? What we're doing for other people, that when we're helping out other people, it's not so much about the thing. It's much more about who you're being and the way that you're leading by example, and the energy, the way that you're being. That's much more impactful than the thing that you're doing, the specifics. And so if you are doing it in a way that's not congruent for you, that's not in alignment for you, that is driving yourself into the ground, then you're not serving them, right? Then it's not service, it's servitude. It's like, that's not what we're here to do.
Yeah.
Right. And there's, yeah.
Because I was thinking of doing these Loom video responses, right? Like, so people send me their video and then I make a response for them. But when I do the math, that's going to be like, I'm going to wake up and I'm just going to have like the whole day is just filled with making video responses for people. But I feel like I have to do that to serve them. But really, do I? You know, I don't know that I do.
No, you have to do it in a way that works for you. I would never offer to watch other people's videos, because that just drives me insane. I can't do that. But
yeah, it sounds torturous.
Yeah, I hate that. Me making videos for others, I'm good with that. I'm fine with that. So like, if I do a coaching thing, which I will at some point, it would be like, and I thought about that specifically, like offering that you can send me a like short text kind of thing, and then I'll send you a voice or a video response, right? I'm not gonna sit and watch. I mean, maybe like I'm gonna build into the Simplero app that you can do voice messages, and there's a transcript, and I can scroll, you know, go back and forth in it, and I can play back at like faster speed and stuff like that. I might do something like that where like 2-minute max, and I can have the transcript, like that kind of stuff, right? But I put some strict limits on it. And then my response is audio video, because that's much faster for me than typing. So it's like, design it around you so it really works for you, because that's your model, you modeling as well. That's your leadership for them to show, hey, how do we do this in a way that works for you? And then that's going to work for some people, not for everybody, and that's fine.
And then if I have to like, I'm not signing my life away, right? Like even if I have a membership, something, you know, I can
Right.
make changes and then just let people know here are the changes that we're making.
100%. Yeah.
Okay.
Like, yeah, as long as you're upfront and you're saying, hey, I'm doing this for a year, for 6 months, and then we'll see if I want to renew. Like maybe, maybe not. Like, yeah, it's an experiment. Like I'm testing this out or whatever. Yeah, you can totally do that.
Okay, last question really quick because I get stuck on this. Should I just charge like a monthly membership or should I be like, it's a 6-month program and then you pay in installments? Like what's your advice on that?
Or it's a 6 month program you pay up front. It kind of depends on your audience and who you want to attract. I would say generally it's much better to say like annual commitment paid in full up front for a couple of reasons. One, you get cash in the bank, which is always nice.
Mhm.
B, you get their commitment and their buy-in, and the kinds of people that you get on that are typically easier to work with. There's fewer complaints and fewer issues.
Yeah.
So there's a lot that you can do to select who you work
And I
with.
don't want to be managing people coming in and out and in and out. And then it
Right.
sounds really chaotic to me. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
And I'm generally a huge fan of just charging more and over delivering on value. Like if you have fewer people who are paying you more, you can take a lot better care of them than if you have a lot more that are paying you a lot less. And then like it ends up, you feel like it's too much burden of your time and you build up resentment towards them, and that just like pollutes the whole energy, and like you don't want to go there.
Thank you.
Yeah. There's a thing to like, so what you were talking about earlier, like it's something to watch out for. If you guys are familiar with the Cartman drama triangle, is this like model that talks about basically all human relationships. And there's all stories are based on some version of this framework as well. But there are three roles in this triangle. There's the victim who says, "Oh, poor me, something's wrong," like it's someone's fault, right? And so if there's the victim, then there's a villain. "Oh, you did it. It's because of you. Like it's my boss or the government or the weather or my parents or my spouse, like whatever. It's someone's fault that I can't get what I want," right? And then the third person is the hero or the helper who comes in and says, "Oh yes, poor you, victim. I see that like this is terrible and this person is a bad villain or the weather or whatever. Let me help you." And that hero person is a very easy thing to fall into. Like all of them are kind of easy to fall into, except maybe the villain. Nobody wants to be a villain. Some people like it, but most people don't. But it's a very easy role to fall into, to be that hero, that helper in other people's lives. The problem with it is that what you're doing is you're making yourself feel good. Look how good I am. I'm helping this person, that person, whatever. But I'm not saying you're doing this, Kimberly, but just something for all of us to look out for. Like I'm a good person because I'm helping, but what you also are doing is you're helping keep that person stuck in being a victim, right? By seeing them as a victim that needs help, rather than seeing them as a powerful creator of their own reality or of their own lives. And you can be a coach to help them see the creator in themselves, or you can be a challenger that challenges them to step up. So those are like the alternative roles are that instead of being the hero, you become the coach. Instead of being the villain, you become the challenger. And instead of being a victim, which we all do from time to time as well, you become a creator and say, "Hey, I don't care how I got into the situation or who created it. What do I want and what steps can I take to get there?" And that's really what we want to help people with. And so I bring this up because we really want to help people, right? It's just so important that we do it as their ally, as their coach, as their challenger, maybe as their model, as their inspiration, but not as that hero that needs people to be in victim mode, or that sees people in victim mode.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah. Thank you, Kimberly.
Yeah.
Good to see you again.
Yeah, nice to see you. Awesome. Wow.
What else we got? Do we have any? Do we have questions?
Yeah, people have mostly been talking to each other, which is super fun. Yeah, I guess I think going back to that point about like, can I change my program once I get started? Somebody else mentioned that that was a blocker for them as well, like this feeling of I'm making a commitment to something and then I have to keep it like come hell or high water, no matter how miserable it makes me. And it's like the same thing over and over again, and it's going to suck the joy out of it. I'm projecting a little bit into what they said in the chat. But that's the general idea. And I just think I've seen a lot of people change what they're doing as they go because they realize it's not working for them, and it's not working for their members either, because as Calvin said, if it's not working for you, it's not going to work for them because you're not bringing your best stuff. And so just to try to liberate your brain from that. You can always
renegotiate any agreement as long as you're upfront about it, right? Like what you don't want to do is be just like, sneaky about it, or like just like, pretend it never happened and just like do it. But you want to be, if you're just open and honest about it, and you're like, hey, I know I said this, I realize that doesn't work for these reasons, so here's what I'm going to do instead. Anybody have a problem with that? I'm happy to issue a refund, like no problem. But this is how we're going to do it going forward. And you can ask their input as well. Hey, would you rather this or that? And you can design it with them so it becomes a collaborative process. But yeah, you can absolutely, like any agreement that you have, in any context, you can always go back and renegotiate.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, even if so what I said to you, Kimberly, was like, if you made it up front, it's for 6 months or whatever. But I mean, even if it's like it's a year and then 3 months into it, you realize it's not working, just be honest with people about it and model there as well, right? Model for them how to renegotiate in a clean way. Yeah. Tina, what you got?
Mute. Thank you. I love all that. So if I can just add my experience like in like 30 seconds. So I did your program, you guys, the Simplero, a long time ago. You did a program to launch in like 60 days. I don't remember what it was. And I did launch. And for those of you that are concerned, I took the model of, I didn't even have all the modules done. But what you guys taught was just get going. And I did, and I created a lot. And when I got in the middle of it and towards the end, I realized this isn't what lights me up. I'm doing a good job, but you know what? You don't know until you do stuff. You just have to experience things, and you have to be bold and know you're in service no matter what. And then you just change, and your people that trust you get it. So if I could just share that, because I did go through that. And so anyway, so I just encourage you guys so much, because you learn so much just doing that anyway. So my questions, I didn't want to.
Can I just? That's amazing, Tina. I really appreciate you sharing that. And what you said is so true. Like, you don't know until you try it. None of us have done this stuff before, right? None of us have done what we're doing before. Like, we're always like trying to figure it out for the first time. And so, yeah, just give it a shot, and then you will find out what you like and what you don't like, and what works for you and what doesn't.
Yeah, it's a beautiful process of growth on your own, and the right people will be aligned with you, and it works out just if you trust that process. So I don't want to get off course here, because I guess my situation is that I've used Simplero in the beginning a lot, and I loved it so much. And I did my program and realized, okay, I'm done with this aspect. And I transcribed all my videos, which you guys can do if you do videos, 20 of them, into a book. And so now I have the first edit done. I guess my question, Calvin, is, and also Beth, is that now I'm at this point of, okay, I somehow need to correlate. I need to change my website. I have this overall marketing strategy that's shifting. Do I do a QR code because I have a workbook? I have worksheets. I have a very, very complicated and big program, right? And so I'm now, interviewing people, strategists. How do I pull it together? And does Simplero, I'm often seeking like is there a list of people who can help with different things? And I have used you guys I have used your people before, but I'm in a place of, I need strategic support, not launching the program support. And I'm wondering if I haven't seen categories of helpers. Does that make sense? I'm just that's my stuckness right now is
Yeah.
I don't want 5 different people. I'd like to literally would love to have somebody help me oversee this. So if that makes sense.
Yeah, I don't know that I have a person for you, but I mean, I would like we're here right now, so if I can help you with getting unstuck strategically, I'd be happy to. And other than that, we have our Facebook group. I think that's where I would start by looking. But what can I do right now?
Yeah. Well, I guess the sticking point for me is that not sticking point, but the trying to figure it out stuff is that when you have a book, when I put together a workbook that I can either do QR codes and send them back to Simplero where they have to download all the stuff, which it feels cumbersome to me, right? Or I insert.
So what you're trying to do is generate leads off of the book?
Yeah, and that's a very good question. So I am, unlike probably a lot of people, I'm sort of culminating at the end of my work, right? And this is kind of the end place for it. So I'm not looking to build a lot of new clients. I'm looking for more speaking, presenting, which I've done a lot of, and more of maybe getting the book into a conference, the workbook or something like that. It's more business oriented because I've been doing one-on-ones for a very, very long time. And I'm kind of done with that unless it's a high level, where I charge a lot. So you want to
leverage your book into speaking engagements.
Speaking and presenting, and I'd love to get the book into, I'd love for someone to say, wow, this workbook is very user-friendly. Maybe we'll use this in our class or conference or something. And I don't want to be too esoteric here because I don't want people to get like, this isn't helping me kind of thing. Because mine's so specific, so I don't want to go down that rabbit hole for everyone.
That's a good point because sometimes I think the more specific you get, the more kind of interesting it gets, and oftentimes the more applicable it actually is. So that's cool. Yeah, don't be afraid of that.
Okay, yeah. So the speaking, and so I guess it is like for Calvin, if you were to go open a workbook for something new, whether it's a training for fitness or something, and you had the ability to go to, for all of you guys, you had the ability to go to that page and fill in things. There's a lot of prompts, a lot of questions. I think someone mentioned the hero's journey, which is in my workbook, or a QR code where you would go and download a bigger page. Right. What is appealing? Because it feels more convenient to have it right in the book. And that's my struggle is, do I want to have two different ways to do that?
I would put it in the book. And then, I mean, I wouldn't keep things out of the book for the sake of the least. I think you can always come up with some additional thing that people can get online. The other thing I'm thinking though, is like, really, like if you want to do speaking, just to stick with that path, because I know there are two, right? Mm-hmm. You want to get in touch with the organizers of the conferences and the events or wherever that would hire you to speak. I don't think that person who gets on your email list to download the thing from the book is the person who's going to get you on stage, right?
Right.
I'm not sure that person is the person who's going to get you into like using the workbook for the conference. So I think it's more like if the value's there in the book and then you take that and use it as your business card to reach out to the organizers who would hire you to do these things. Like I wouldn't even you can do the QR code or whatever, or something extra content, but I wouldn't even worry about that if that's your goal.
Okay, that makes sense. Yeah, I think the QR codes will just be for the guided meditations because there are a lot of guided meditations that you would get as a bonus, and I'll just send them back to Simplero for the guided meditation. That makes sense, and then put everything in. I think the workbook. Yeah,
and that's perfect thing. You can do that in the book.
Yeah, I appreciate that. But for those of you that are trying to launch or trying to decide, I just really encourage you because I was there too. I suffered from perfectionism. That's part of my journey. And I don't remember, Calvin, who said it or whatever, but someone, or if it was another coach, just basically said, just freaking get going. Just do something. She's like, I didn't even have a website. And I had a podcast with sponsors. Because I just started doing something and I love it. And then someone said to me, what is the world missing if you don't share your talent? If you came here with that calling, you know, and it just inspired me, which is why I shared that. It's so true. So anyway, so I love you guys, and I've been using you and the program and all of that for a long time. So I just encourage you guys that are trying to decide what to do.
Thank you so much, Tina.
And thank you for the input. Thank you for the input.
You bet. And you know what? It's funny you say that. Like, I think one of the worst things that you can do if you're starting a business today is to build a website first, right? Like it's a complete waste of time, complete waste of money. You don't know who you're for. And really the only thing that you want your website to do is to get people to enter their email. So having a website that's just like, hey, no site yet. This is my name. This is what I do. Enter your email here and I'll like send you some more stuff is actually much, much better than having a website with a bunch of stuff that people can click around on, because you're less likely to get their email. And so, yeah, start out, no website. You don't need it. Focus on who you're going to serve and deliver some value to them. Yeah. Katrina, what you got?
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
Hi, everyone.
Hey.
What have I got? A whole lot of weird stuff.
You're in the right place.
Yeah. Okay. I'm just going to try and make it very short. When lockdown happened in March 2020, I opened up and started channeling. My body moves a lot, and I get a lot of weird sounds and stuff, but everything is just put neatly into yoga series and sound healing and meditations, and it is really kicking ass to people. Sorry for my language. I've done for 2 years a lot of trial. I didn't know what I was doing. I have co-created everything with audience in Denmark first, and now I'm going international. And now finally, after 2 years of diving into what this modality actually does and can, and what it's all about, because every single thing has been like an order, like now you do this course, and now you do this, and now you do this, and like that for 2 years now. So what do I do with this whole thing? I haven't had my bottleneck right now is that in all this trial thing and research and finding out, I haven't really had an income for 2 years. So I'm really, really low on numbers. I need to get out there into the world with the help of a lot of people. That's one thing.
So do you have clients now that are you're working with?
I have a very, very few, because because I haven't been able to tell my story. I haven't been able to until now to really find out.
The people that you are working with, are they paying you? And
they're paying me, but it's
sure. And what are you doing for them?
What happens is that I actually help people become them. I help change makers to get into the purpose and power and presence of their soul, and create from there.
So I think the way that you do this, and I don't know that I know of another way, is that you keep building on that. Like my philosophy is you can only build on success. So figure out some people that you can help, even if it's for free, and demonstrate that you can deliver value to them. Get some case studies, get them to tell some other people about it. Because they're happy and excited, and then you just keep going and building on that, and you capture all of those stories about how it impacts other people. So it becomes less about your story, which is you can tell your story too, and that can be compelling, but it becomes more about telling their story of the transformation they've had with you.
And that's what I am doing, and collecting all these experiences and stuff.
Do more of that, and make sure, and then listen to whether it resonates, right? What is the transformation when you tell that story of the transformation that you've helped other people with? Does it resonate? Who does it resonate with? And then the question to ask is, who is the person that I can help, that I can that I can get access to, that I can have the biggest impact for?
Yeah. 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 And then one, thank you. And that's actually what I'm working on. And I'm thinking of also, trying it out is the only way to find out whether this is for you, because it's completely new. I haven't heard of anyone who does what I do. So how would you approach, and I can also ask you other guys, what would you prefer? Would you prefer to like enter? I'm thinking about making like a free membership site with different things that you can try out that I've channeled, that I've done, that will be like teasers for the courses and stuff. Or would it be nicer just to have, one little freebie here and one little there, and or would it be, like the upselling, like what is it called? Yeah, a cheaper, not cheap, but a low cost offer with access to different things. What would you prefer? I mean,
Well,
should it be targeted? For example, let's say I have a course on joy, because that's essential. Would it be then the freebie going for joy, or would it be rather the whole mix and then try it out and find out what you like?
My approach would be like, get it out there for free on social media to people who care, right?
Yeah.
Find the people who care about it by just giving and giving and giving, and just seeing who resonates with it. Because once you've established, once you've found those people, you've given enough value, once you've built an audience around yourself and what you can do for people, figuring out the business side of it is super easy. The hard part is finding those people that resonate and finding your own voice in it. Like when I started, I've been doing online video for like since 2008. I actually showed Beth a video that I did back in 2008 from my house in Copenhagen. An episode called Coach TV. And in 2017, I think I started a daily live stream, and I did, Monday through Friday at 9 a.m. I think it was, for like over 100 episodes of just streaming live to YouTube for anywhere from like a half hour to sometimes 2 hours with virtually no audience. But it was a very, very important process. That's my dog. It was a very, very important process for me to help me find my voice and find that confidence online, right? So
yeah,
I think there's a lot of value.
I don't have a problem with that. I've done that too. I just haven't been able to yet gather the followers, and only recently, about a year ago, everything started coming down in English. So that part is rather new. So my aim now, I know who it resonates with. It's mostly empaths and sensitive people, and who have been working done lots of self-development and are ready to go to the next step, because that's what I do. It's a whole new level of where you are. Working with the quantum field and stuff, so it's very high power. So I know who this is for. My problem is how do I get to them worldwide?
Right. Where do these people hang out? Right. Yeah. That's where you want to find out too. Yeah. And be there.
Yeah.
And what do you need to say? What do you need to put in front of them so that they kind of raise their hand and show their interest, right? So they get attracted. Yeah, because the question is how to build the list and everything, because if it's only on social media, then I need to get the contact too. But again, that part is also fairly easy. Like I'm not worried about building a list at all. I just want to have, like, the list to me is in other people's heads. I want as many people as possible to just have this like experience that they saw or heard something life transforming. For me, that's all I care about. And then building an email list and build all that stuff, and like that, even like social media followers and all that stuff, I'm not worried about that. Like that can come later. What really matters is that people care.
Yeah, that's right. I will see what happens.
And like we talked about earlier, try stuff, right? Try a bunch of things in parallel and just see what happens and who resonates.
Yeah.
Who engages. Yeah.
Thank you.
Cool. We're out of time, but Cara just raised her hand. Let's hear it, Cara.
Oh, I'm sorry. I wasn't sure how long this went. But yeah, I think for me, one of the blocks is, always wanting to be in content creation mode or always wanting to be in creative mode. And then there's like, then it's out there, but like the putting yourself forward and like, and trying to get yourself in front of new people. So Catherine talking about reaching new people, that I think is hard, because I think we all want like, okay, it's out there now, just come, where are you? You can find it, but it's like, how do we, that I think is the other piece to it, which is like the creativity and the flow can be so fun, but then the like, hey, come and see what I built. That's like so much harder, I think, for me.
Yeah. And when you're talking about creating, you're talking about like your course or your product or things in sort of your universe there.
Yeah, like when you're in like, okay, here's what I want people to learn, or here's what I want to offer people, or here's, here's the stuff. But it's like getting the people to know about it. That's 100%, I think that's right. Hard.
And I think that the trick is to find the joy in that, right? Like the excitement about that. I can totally relate, right? Because I'm a product guy. I'm a software guy at heart. I've been doing software my entire life, and I love product and what I want to do with it and how I want to play all this stuff. And I love that there are thousands of people who are using the software that I created, and I would love to see tens of thousands and hundreds of thousands of people use it. So I have that tendency as well to be stuck in that mode. What I realized for me, that one of the things that's critical for me is the feedback loop. When I make software and then I get to use that software myself, that's a very effective emotional feedback feedback loop for me that makes me emotionally invested and motivated and driven to do more product. I love seeing the product work the way and be able to use it. And so how can I create a feedback loop for myself around publicity, around marketing, around lead generation, demand generation as well? And for me, that comes in the form of like what we're doing right now, as well as seeing that the content that I put out there to the world gets response from people. So whenever I meet with someone and they're telling me, I often have interviews with potential candidates for jobs, and they'll be like, I'm almost ashamed to admit this, but like I did a deep dive on your YouTube and I really love everything that I saw and I really resonated with that kind of stuff. Like I love to hear that, right? Like that's why I do it, because I love to hear how it impacts people and people who resonate with it. So it's been something that I've been very conscious about with this, is creating that feedback loop for myself so that I have that motivation to keep doing that. And I think a key thing there is when you're then creating that content and putting out there, spending ad money to get your content in front of the people that you want to reach on social media, whether that's YouTube or Facebook or Instagram or TikTok or whatever it is, it's actually very, very cheap to do. So with very little money, you can make sure that the right people hear your message. And it's kind of like you get to run a conference and people get to come and see you on stage, right? Like, and for like pennies, it's like, if you think of it, like for very little money, you can get in front of your target audience with the message that you want them to hear. That becomes really powerful.
Yeah, I love that that it's such a change of mindset, right? That's great. Thank you.
You bet. My pleasure. All right.
This has been fun.
Cool.
We do
Thank
have
you, everybody.
There's been a few more things than we were able to get to today, so I've got them captured for next week. I hope you can come back if you put something in the chat and we didn't get to it.
Were there questions in the chat?
Yeah, there's a couple things. One from Cor and one from Susan. So we'll get
Okay.
them for next week. So
All right.
Yeah.
Sounds good. We'll kick off with them.
yeah.
All right. Thank you, everybody. It was amazing. So glad that you guys are here for the journey. Really, really excited about everything that's happening around here these days. I'm super grateful for all of you. And yeah, excited. I'll see you all next week. Same time, same place.
Thank you
All
so
right.
much.
Thanks, everyone. Bye.
Thank
Bye,
you.
everybody.
Bye.
Thank you.